Hey, what's good? What is good? What is good? Ladies and gentlemen, of course, it is yours truly, Dr. Mike, coming back at you guys with another video today. As we always do, magandang umaga, magandang gabi, magandang hapon, which means good morning, good evening, and of course, good afternoon, depending on what time you guys choose to watch this video today. If you haven't already, if you are new to the channel, by all means, please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel so that you can get all of the latest and greatest from yours truly. Okay? Segueing into the topic today. By show of hands, how many of you guys know what the word curry pot means? Curry pot or curry pot. K-U-R-I-O-P-O-R-I-P-O-T. Curry pot. This is a term that many of us should probably become familiar with. Male and female, it doesn't matter. There's a term that many of us should become familiar with because the term in Filipino or Tagalog means to be cheap or to be stingy with something. That's the general term. Like, I may have a dramatic definition, but to me, that's what it means when they were always saying it to me. You know? I always used to hear, you're so currypot or currypot, however they pronounce it. I gotta get the affliction right. I'm sorry. But they used to always say, Dr. Mike, you're so currypot. Like, and I used to never know what it meant until I searched it. Matter of fact, I'm going to search it right now, and I'm going to tell you what the definition of curry pot is. And I use this term to segue into what the video is going to be about today in reference to the high expectations that some foreigners feel like they are obligated to live up to when in the country. But first, let me define it for you before we move into that. I'm going to see what Google tells me curry pot means. That's wrong. Well, I guess the word currypot has different meanings. But in general, to me, the term definitely meant, like, when people used to say currypot, they used to refer to somebody as being cheap or not really spending a lot of money. And it was very interesting to me when I used to hear that because, you know, I really didn't like to spend a lot of money on a lot of frivolous things. It was just not in my nature. It was never in my nature before I got to the country, and it wasn't in my nature when I actually lived there. But I felt like being called that, maybe it's just me, but when I used to hear the word, it was almost like people were basically saying that I was broke. And I ain't like that very much. That's kind of how I used to interpret it, as somebody calling me broke. Now, I was just a regular college kid. I told you guys that a ton of times, man. I was just a college kid. I was living it up. I was doing my thing. I had money. I just didn't have a lot of money, okay? But, you know, when I used to hear that, it would almost take me to a level in my head, mind you, that I had to prove to myself by stunting on some people. And the word stunting basically means I used to have to show off the fact that I do have money to show people that I'm not broke. I just choose to spend money how I want to. That was kind of what stunting meant to me. Or in reference, I had to show these people that I ain't the one you want to mess with. I ain't the one you want to call curry pot. But in my thought process, I'm thinking, why do I have to prove myself to anybody, especially anybody in the Philippines? Explain to me that. Explain to me why I have to defend myself or explain myself or show people that I really have something that I really didn't even want them to know I had it in the first place. To me, it's psychological, man. To me, it's all about the mind. You get to a place where you are the foreigner, where you're supposed to be, operative word, supposed to be richer than the average Filipino or supposed to have more money than the Filipino people do when you come into their country because you have the US dollar and they only have the peso. You're supposed to be the richer one. So you feel like you are obligated to show that you are richer than them. Never had that. But some foreigners do that, and when they go through this process of basically saying, yeah, I could buy this if I want to, I can do that if I want to, you can't, but I can. You have that mentality, or you have it in your head where you're like, you know what, you gonna call me curry pot, I'm gonna show you who's curry pot. Basically you feel like you are obligated to prove to people that that's not who you are. Or you have to prove to people that you actually have money. And in doing so, you spend way more money than you would have originally spent in the first place. It's psychological. And I've learned this over a long period of time, and I've seen it happen in many different situations. And it makes me laugh because in the end, who's winning? In the end, who actually wins? Think about it. I'm going to give you the perfect example of who really wins. There was a rapper. He went inside of a Gucci store. We'll just say it was a Gucci store. The manager, whoever was in charge of the shop, was not really paying him any attention. And I think he was kind of like blowing him off a little bit, as if he was just another window shopper just coming into the store to look around but not going to buy anything. So maybe there was an exchange of words or something like that, or there was something that the manager guy did to this rapper character or whatever, and the rapper got mad, and guess what this rapper did? Bought $35,000 worth of gear. $35,000 worth of Gucci stuff. Tell me who really won. I'm not saying that he didn't have the money, but maybe he wasn't even intending to spend that much money, but because he felt offended, he felt like he had to spend more money than he actually had to prove a point. Same thing works in the Philippines. Maybe you want to go into the store and you want to buy a local branded flat screen TV, aka like a Skyworth. There's this brand called Skyworth. I'm not going to disrespect it, but it's a more lower ended brand of a flat screen TV or whatnot. Let's say you want to go in there and buy you a Skyworth. That's it. But somebody basically made you feel a certain kind of way because you were a foreigner. And you go in there and you buy the LG TV. So basically you probably would have spent maybe $20,000, $15,000 for the Skyworth. But then you turn around and spend 50 to 60, 70, 80K on the LG TV. You did not originally intend to spend that much money, but because you felt offended and taken back at the simple fact that somebody said something to you that you felt it in your best interest to buy the more expensive TV. And I'm using these as examples to prove a point. A lot of foreigners come into the Philippines, and if they don't spend the amount of money that Filipinos expect you to spend in their country, or if you buy the cheaper branded stuff as opposed to the more expensive brands, you're looked at a certain kind of way. You're looked at funny, like, wow, this foreigner is buying what I can afford. You get it? The foreigner is buying something that the Filipino can afford. So yet and still, you take offense to that. And you feel like you have to pay and buy something that the average Filipino cannot afford. And I think that's the whole psychological mindset when it comes to the word karipot. Or calling somebody cheap. In reference. But in reference to me, it was the simple fact that I didn't want to spend money on stuff. Somebody would ask me to buy something, I'd tell them no. You know what they call me? Karipot. They'd be like, Mike, can you buy me this? Or Mike, don't these shoes look cool? Yeah. You want me to buy these $100 pair of Nike shoes when I can buy these $10 pair of Advance shoes and get two for 10? And then spend $100 or so on a pair of shoes and only get one of them? No. So Mike was always Mr. Karipot, if that's what you want to understand. That was my it wasn't a moniker, but definitely that was my lifestyle. And when I go back, yes, I'm going to go back with more money than I had when I left, but that doesn't change my lifestyle. That doesn't change the way that I live, and it shouldn't change you either. Basically, I'm telling you guys, don't let the fact that somebody calls you cheap or the fact that somebody makes you feel a certain kind of way because you don't spend as much money as you want to. Don't let them make you feel that. Because that's going to happen. If you're not careful, you're going to find yourself spending way more money than you would have ever imagined. And then who's going to be the broke foreigner in the long run? What you going to do, take it back? Can't take it back now. Once you done already bought it, man, trying to exchange in the Philippines is a hard thing. And they don't just let you exchange easy, man. Number one, you won't get your money back. They normally let you exchange up to the equivalency value, but you have to prove that there was something wrong with the product. Especially when it comes to electronics, they don't just let you bring it back and get your money back. Filipinos in the Philippines, they do not give you your money back. Like in the United States, where you can bring back something to like Walmart or something and they'll give you money or store credit or something like that. Yeah, no, actually no, they'll give you back your money for it. Here, I'm sorry, in the Philippines, don't work that way. Filipinos will do whatever they can not to give you your money back. So they'll take back the product and you'll have to buy something else in the store of equal or equivalent value. You're not getting your money back. So basically, you might as well just be karipot. If you get caught karipot, just let it roll off your shoulder, man. You gotta dust your soda off with that nonsense. Sometimes people like to bait you into buying shit. Like, especially like when you go to clubs and stuff. You know, instead of buying the cheap beer, somebody may want you to buy the expensive, the alcohol, like that Johnny Walker or that Hennessy or whatever they got on there. Whatever they got on their menu, they may want you to get the more expensive branded stuff. So I just wanted to make that video to let you guys know that at the end of the day, please, do not let anybody talk you in to buying something more or spending more money than you have to or spending more money than you intended to. That's all I wanted to let you guys know today, because I've seen it happen, and that's how you go from being the cool foreigner with money to the broke foreigner with no money rather quickly. Just a little tidbit of information. I know it's psychological. Last thing I want to happen is somebody say, oh, you're broke or you're poor or you're no different than us Filipino people. You're a foreigner, but you can't spend money on this. I don't want to hear it. And it very rarely comes out. But depending on who you're dealing with, the word kuripot may come out. And it's been in reference to where you choose to eat, you know? You know, if you're going on a date and you want to eat at the Carinderia, somebody may call you kuripot on a date, you know, because they want you to take them to the restaurants that are more expensive. And we ain't talking about Jollibee, man. We're talking about them foreigner restaurants, them restaurants where you spend $50 for, you know, y'all to eat together and stuff like that. So don't be surprised if you hear that word. I wasn't, and when I used to hear it, I used to walk away, because it was only going to end bad. So I just wanted to give you that tidbit of information. Don't let people talk you into spending more money than you have to, or spending more money than you actually intended to do. That's all this is about. So if you're called kuripot, embrace it and move on. Don't allow it to get you, because it will. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you sticking it out with me. Again, guys, I appreciate you showing up. You know, of course, I'm in my formal setting today. I appreciate you guys always showing up and showing love. And at the end of the day, I could not do this without you. And I would never choose to do it without you. And I never forget those that have been rocking with me since day one. When the channel blows up, y'all gonna always be remembered. I don't forget those who have had my back since day one. Alright? Again, guys, if you're not familiar, Dr. Mike is officially on IG. I'm on the gram, people. It took me long enough, right? IG at Dr. Mike from the PH. That is Dr. Mike from the PH. Alright? That's my time. As always, I love you guys. Mahal kita. Mabuhay. Peace.